I think one of the things that has impressed us about the 350 activities is we've all been involved in the great groups, EDF, National Resources Defense Council, on more political level, legal conservation voters, but 350 is really uh, has a great global perspective, and that obviously why you were able to answer so well, Natalie, the question about indigenous populations. Um, we mentioned Paris sort of fleetingly, but in terms of getting our arms around the climate issue before it's too late, how much of your activity is non-U.S. and truly global, would you say?
So in 350 as a whole, so for my work, I'm the U.S. policy director. So
Right,
I exclusively work on U.S. But as a 350 is a global org, we are located in all continents, of course, except Antarctica. So we are all over the world. I think that in terms of our global, I'd have to get the exact numbers of staff, but most of our staff, when I think about our U.S. staff versus in terms of numbers and our rest of our staff, most of our staff is outside of the U.S. Just that it's not that I think our U.S. programs are likely our biggest programs, but I think most of our staff overall spread out is around the world. And I mean, I think the reason why 350, as it was created 10 years ago, was a global org is because this is a global problem. We can't really say we want to get to 350 parts per million in America. That doesn't work, right? Climate change doesn't center on one place. We have to globally work together to get the 350 parts per million, which is the highest level of carbon in the atmosphere that is safe for human civilization. And right now, where it measured, the last time it was checked about not too long ago, less than a year ago, was at 415 parts per million.
Right.
And so it's increasing, obviously. And I think that having the global perspective and being able to work across the world, even as one org, it's really helpful. We even had a all staff meeting today, and it was, people from all over the world, and they have to do they do one at 3 a.m. and then they do one at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock this morning. So to match the time zones. And so we have to, make those accommodations. Obviously, the global team might be a little tired when they have to do presentations at 3 a.m. for them, but depending on where they're located. And it really helps in that unification, being in the all staff meeting today and seeing my colleagues who, most I haven't met because they're all over, but knowing that we're all working together for the same common goal of achieving 350 parts per million. And I think that's really the way to go. I think it's kind of like, of course, start with the country you live in, right? You have to worry about the plank in your own eye, right? Before you take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. And the US disproportionately pollutes significantly higher. We are at less than 5% of the world population, and we produce about 15% of global climate emissions. We're punching 3 times our weight. We're in our different weight class here. And that has been the historic way that it's been for decades and decades and decades. So we have the most work to do because historically we have been the largest polluters. And so I'm happy to be able to, of course, work as part of the US team because it's my home, but also it is the greatest need in terms of our government that is still debating climate change. So I think it's always good to start local at home and then, of course, work with a global perspective.
Abby's going to wrap us up here in a minute, but just on that note, we had a question earlier that didn't get to the stage, and it involved it was a global question with other leaders, Trump-like leaders. Let's take Bolsonaro.
As soon as you said Trump-like leaders, I was like,
the best and worst example.
Who are we going to pick?
What do you anticipate will be the impact of a decisive Trump loss on Bolsonaro? My understanding is his popularity is very, very low. Oh. He's a climate denier, science denier, like Trump.
Trump of the South.
Yeah. So what's your view on that? I mean, he would be the most notorious, right? Outside the US.
It would alienate him. I hope he would feel like he has no friends in this world. I hope he would feel like a complete abject failure that he is. I hope he would realize that the whole world is laughing at him and obviously Trump, but now he doesn't even have Trump to rely on of taking most of the laughter of the world. And I hope that it would wake up, obviously, you know, people in Brazil to be like, you know what, we tried this experiment. This was terrible. Let's not do this again. And I hope America has the same realization very soon. But there's no guarantees. Every country, you know, they say all politics are local, right? I don't think the US elections, I don't think people are thinking about Bolsonaro in the US elections. I think they're just thinking about what's affecting their life, their day to day. And that's expected. So hopefully that would be a tipping point for the world to understand that fascism is not the way to go. You know, that also was tried before and that didn't work well. So let's stop trying it and let's invest in communities and freedom and also obviously a just transition for this world.